Town McGavin now.
Yep, you're good to go.
All right, 6 o'clock, we will call the meeting to order, for March 6th, 2024, from the Shores Council. And roll call, seeing everyone here except for Councillor Bent.
And she gave her
Gave
regrets.
no, yeah. Gave regrets. Declaration of conflict of interest, no big time for anybody that has a conflict to declare, see none. Additions, deletions, or approval of the agenda. We need a motion. If nobody has any additions or deletions to accept the agenda.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Ferguson, seconded by Councilor Saunier. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Against? Seeing none, motion passed. Number 5, approval of the minutes. As usual, we will do both, committee of the whole of February 21st, 2024, and regular council February 7th of 2024. We'll need a motion to approve both those minutes. Councillor Dealey made the motion, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any questions on the motion?
Just, is it possible that we could see those minutes like a week after the meeting instead of not seeing them until the end, or is that too much on me?
It depends on the month really, but I can try to get them out sooner.
It just makes more sense. We're approving something that's a month old that we sort of forget. Anyway, that was all.
I'll make a note that's to try to get them out too soon.
And by that, you mean up on the OneDrive
Exactly.
before, okay?
Yeah.
Just to be sure. All right, any other questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Seeing none, motion passed. Presentations to council, we have none. 7A, business arising from the minutes. 7A is the streetlight policy. Per the streetlight request received from Prince of Wales, a jurisdictional scan was conducted, and the following policy was drafted and reviewed by the Public Safety Committee. There are options for council to review, but since then, it did go to public safety. There was some recommendations from public safety. So it's gonna take, I believe you guys got the full policy with the recommendations, right, on the OneDrive?
Yes, just none of the like other corrections have been done.
Right, since then. So since that time, there was a request to have it moved to Department of Transportation Infrastructure where they still maintain the control. And council can move ahead before the traffic review finalizes, from DTI. So it was sent to public safety. They made some recommendations. But it's gonna take some work on Linda's part to finalize that policy to make it into effect. So in that meantime, DTI contacted and said that they were gonna do a traffic study on that area because we know there was a light there before, but now the light's gone. So we feel that, and I said during the meeting was that I think coming off a main arterial or highway into the community, I think it should be DTI's responsibility at the intersection to cover that light. And a street light policy would be for street lights, like for if Malcolmian Road or whatever road wanted a bunch of street lights on it, then the policy could reflect that. So that's where we're at with the policy. So for right now, the policy is just up for discussion. We're not gonna look for a motion tonight to get it passed, to have any set timeline. Hope that makes sense.
There's no set timeline on inputs, because I've provided some inputs, but I'm assuming.
For the policy?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the,
It'd be nice to happen by next council meeting.
yeah, we just weren't in a rush to get the policy for the Prince of Wales one until we get the DTI. Yeah.
Okay.
Because if we don't want the policy to reflect that, and then they come and say, well, we were gonna cover it, but now you guys have a policy in place, and you guys look at it.
And so when do we anticipate the GTI study will be done?
I can't honestly say for sure because their traffic group that goes around and looks at those situations, apparently there's only a couple of them in the province. And as you know, we have had something in the hopper since last spring,
Yeah.
so it's not a fast moving process.
So the streetlight policy, it's not going to necessarily need to move that fast right now until that's done.
It all depends on how, I mean,
Yeah, well,
council can still come up with a streetlight policy. It's just that is right now under a DTI mandate, if they see it for traffic safety issues, they do it. But if, say, they say, no, it's not gonna be something we're gonna look at, and council still wants to see it put in place, then it's on the ratepayers. The ratepayer.
because right now, as of today, the only one that we've had that came forward was the Prince Willis
Right.
intersection.
But what about- last month, we were talking about the post office, right? The mailbox system, there's a real need there, that should be looked at.
Well, I think that would
That
fall
would
under a
be
streetlight
DTI.
policy, right?
Yeah.
So that would, and that's where I guess. When I looked at the Prince of Wales one, where you're coming off a main highway and then it's an intersection, I believe that. DTI at least should conduct the study, and they should maybe
That's,
take that one over, and then anything over that. Would be based on.
the post office one should be.
I was gonna say,
Canada Post.
I was gonna say, I'll reach out to Canada Post and see what their policy is on it.
Yeah, because
I
one,
apologize, that completely slipped my mind.
sorry, because one would be a travel/traffic safety issue. And with the Canada Post mailbox would be public safety.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So you're gonna reach out to
Canada Post.
and see what their policy is on it, okay. So did you want, I guess, did you want a motion on the streetlight policies, or no motion, or just
It's
table
up,
it, or
yeah, you don't have to,
No?
Yeah.
just leave it as is?
yeah, we know. what
Good,
we need.
as long as everybody's good with that? Okay,
See what else we have.
all right. 7, department reports, general government, and I guess mine was the first report. So in my report, the only thing I put at the end was that the letters that we did write to Premier Higgs for our land concerns, we can discuss that a little bit more, in closed session, but. And the other one was to Minister Ames in regards to the flooding on Route 790. And in that letter, we did ask for him to expedite, the Route 790 concern, so whatever needed to be done there, that it be expedited to get it fixed. As soon as possible. Yeah, and other than that was the NB Power letter, but I will discuss that under correspondence, I believe. Does anybody else have anything on my report? I will. Good. Councilors report, Deputy Mayor Ferguson.
My report was uploaded and shared,
Okay.
outlined the meetings that I attended. Can I report on my economic development committee at the same time?
Yeah, if you want, and then I'll just scratch it out for the other one, yeah.
Rather than come back in one. So the Economic Development Committee met, the end of February for the first time since last fall. They came together to have a presentation by Synergy, Brian, who's here, tonight. So that went well. They appreciated, having that update, and were really appreciative of the fact that a lot of what they recommended and what they heard was actually seen in the Synergy report that council is working on those things. So, we won't meet again probably until we need to meet, most likely in late April or May. That's it, and somebody has some questions.
Does anybody have questions on either report? Perfect, thank you. I'll skip over that one, Councillor Dealey.
I submitted mine, it's uploaded, and, nothing to add.
And was that for your rec too, or did you want to?
For both, I
Both?
have something coming up in new business.
Okay. good. Councillor Sonia,
I submitted mine, and the tourism information is also there.
Okay.
However, I received a complaint from a constituent, today, and I contacted, Williamson's, John Williamson's office. It's really a federal issue, but it has to do with the Canada carbon rebate, that you get that extra 20% if you're in a rural area. Well, guess what? We're not it's done under the census. And the census municipal area, we're under St. John. St. John and Moncton are the two that are actually municipal areas. Fredericton is considered a rural area. So it's not a lot of money, but it's, I'll forward the letter to you, Denny, and to all of you if you want to see it, what I got. So she's contacted CRA before because Hampton area and Quispan, they're under the same issue. They have the same issue with this. So they're gonna see, but there's probably nothing we can do about it, but. it's
So-
nothing.
So are they not getting their carbon rebate?
They won't get the extra, you know, if you live in a rural area, you're supposed to get up to 20% more. We're not going to get that.
That's
But
what I'm saying.
St. George probably will, because it goes to, they use the LaPro LSD and the Mushposh LSD, that's how they call it. So, it's from the census from 10 years ago. Anyway, that's it for me.
Okay. Any other questions on Heather's reports? Seeing none, Councillor Thompson.
I submitted mine, and I did have a message from a resident questioning their assessment, so I explained that to them. That the assessments are based on market value, similar homes, it's done through building permits, photos on site. And also, they're a new build. And because they're a new build, they would get the actual charge right away, where somebody who's been there, because their neighbors is so much lower. But because they've been there for years, theirs is done on the 10% over time, for this one would automatically be. Any new builds, major renovations, or sale of homes. You buy a house, you automatically gonna get that. So, you know.
Yes.
So anyway, that's the explanation I gave them. So I never heard from them.
And on that, I did send a post out on my site,
I saw.
about that, because we did get some calls and some concerns about some different things, and I guess that's how rumors get started, when people don't call the right people and they say things, and one of them was that, you know, that the mayor and us as a council received a big pay increase, and also we voted ourselves raises, so I just want to clarify that that's totally false. And people that follow us or watch us now know, we're accountable to everybody and we're transparent, and everything can be found on fundyshores.ca. So, the only increase this council gets is what was already done through our bylaws, so there's no. And we never had no overall municipal tax hike, so actually, we're doing really good in Fundy Shore, so I just wanna, I know some people are watching and saying, you know, it's false and that we. Yeah, we're,
I did direct them to the webpage.
and we're not in charge of the assessment.
No.
I wish I was. But we're not.
Actually, I had, it's funny that we're discussing that at the moment, but I just got a message from a concerned citizen. Looking to, for the number for the guy who does the assessments. Because they'd like,
That's what
they're,
this person.
they're very concerned that a neighbor is paying
Mhm.
minuscule compared to what they're paying.
I directed them to the webpage, and there's a video on that page
Okay,
that explains all of that. It's an excellent.
this is not the same kind of a situation, but yeah, just, yeah. It's never been reassessed. The piece of property in question had never been reassessed. So it's just, as if it's just property and that there's no home. So it's really low bad.
Well, and I think, again, it's good that council can direct everybody, the residents, to where they need to go. I think that's part of our role is to be that middleman, but it's. Again, we don't, as a municipality, we don't look after assessments and we don't look after the provincial tax rate, so that's two separate things. All right,
Now, do you want track now? or-
do you want to put track with that, or if there's anything just outstanding that
There's
you
just
want to
one
report
thing,
on?
with track, it was pertaining to here. Anyway, it's a new subdivision in Meadow Cove Road. It's 3 lots now. It came to, crack because of the access road and things like that. Anyway, it, was approved. But there's kind of conditions too, like, and it was mentioned at this meeting. That because it's a private access road. They. Developer is looking into trying to get that road. Made into a public road, because at the end of the road. There are all former houses, I think there's 6 or 7 properties at the end of the, that these new builds will be right on the road. They do have to put a cul-de-sac in, because it's too far for a turning point. And I asked if there was any future development going to go on, and they said not at this time. If they did, they would have to put in an access, another access road, so you can get in and out, not just the one way in there.
And that's the one, that's the private land one in Chance now, is it not?
It's
That's
down,
the,
it's down below, between Dipper and Chance.
yeah, okay,
It's
yeah.
considered Dipper Harbor.
okay.
And as well, I did ask the question because it said it was, waste disposal systems and wells, so I asked the question as to whether it was each lot would have an individual well and sewage and they well. There's no communal well, or no communal sewage system.
Makes me happy. All right, anything else for Pratt or any?
No, that.
Anybody have any
there's other
questions?
Eastern Shore.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, public safety, we could have done mine, but did we have, just looking through the stuff here for the safety week, is that already on for?
That's later.
Okay, yeah, so I won't go through it. And public safety, we already spoke on earlier with the policy for street lights, so. And we did have a meeting, Deanna's not here, but just so she's. No, but we do have it, they're not posted yet, the minutes, but we did have one. All right, nothing else on. Right. CAO report to council.
I did provide a written report and I do just have a couple of updates. I did submit today for the refund, for the work that was done in the basement and, bringing up our network. So I did submit that this afternoon. What else was there? Started going through the applications slowly for the position where it closes next Monday. We're at 309 applications, so it's quite a few to go through. And compare against the job description. So. It's kind of all I have, everything else is in the report. Pardon me.
All right, I guess we'll look for a motion first to. Accept the CAO report as reported. Councilor Sonia makes the motion, second by Councilor Dealing. Any questions on the report?
Just one, if you have that many applications, is there any way to block all some information and have some help going through them?
I was actually able to go through quite a few today. The good thing about using Indeed is it will help you kind of target them down, but I still am going through it all. It's just
Okay.
I can silo them off a little easier.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Against? Seeing none, motion passed. Plan and inspection, the planning director's report, which was also submitted. And you're gonna look for a motion to accept that report.
I gave the motion.
Mayor Ferguson, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any questions on the motion? For the report, I guess. Seeing none, all those in favor? Against, motion passed.
And just a comment, at the end of the month, when there's the committee of the whole meeting, Alex will be the one here to discuss the rural plan, any questions and comments council has, so. And I've sent the notes off to him.
Do we anticipate a response from him before he comes to the meeting?
I can't say for sure yet, I didn't ask for one, but
I suspect that there will be people in the community come to that meeting as well, even though they're not supposed to speak. But I anticipate
Information.
that.
It would be good if you, I don't know how everybody else feels, but it would be nice if you could respond and send us a second draft. Based on those questions and input. It might save some time.
I've made a note and I'll ask him in the morning.
Anything else? Unsightly premise report. Need a motion to accept that report as presented?
That's larger than,
Oh,
No, I apologize, I put it as unsightly, it's an enforcement report.
okay,
okay. So enforcement report, we need a motion to accept that.
Make a motion. Accept.
Councillor Dealey, seconded by Councillor Fournier. Any questions on the motion?
Yeah, sorry, but what does checked mean in the report?
Ellie reviewed the property in question.
And that's it? There's no other calling for what was happened other than it was checked?
If it doesn't comply and it gets to a point for like greater enforcement, then everything would be laid out, but up until then, it's very much like private information.
So this is what we can anticipate in our report unless there is some other follow-up.
Okay.
Because it's the first time we've had one of these. inputs.
I think there's been some in the past that were on there.
I believe that.
Yeah, I don't think it's an every month one, but
Yeah.
And I guess sporadic, yeah, but was.
Yeah.
Any further questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against, seeing none. Public safety, fire department report, and I think it was just today that the annual report was uploaded.
yes, I just uploaded it today.
So the report is on there plus the annual report. Was everybody okay with it, or do you want a readout of some of the events on it, or? Everybody was good with what they got? All right, looking for a motion to accept the fire department's report. Deputy Mayor Ferguson, seconded by Councillor Sonny. Questions on the motion?
Just a question, is that both reports or just the January,
Oh.
February report?
Both?
Both.
You're good with, okay. And you were good with both, okay. So both, any questions on the motion for both of them? Can't see any. All those in favor? Against? Economic development, synergy report, we have Brian with us tonight. But I'll look for a motion first to accept the report that was presented by Brian.
I'll move that we accept the report that was submitted by.
Councillor Thompson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Ferguson. Questions on the report? If anybody has any, now.
there was one, I mentioned, I haven't got that on the screen right at the moment, but there was a briefing on community needs to the council. is that available to the entire council?
It should have been given, back in January, I think, on the, that was on the MB Power, stuff as well, so. There were,
Some of the land transfer
Yeah.
discussions that we've had.
so.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Trying to say it without saying,
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah.
All right, we can see. Been closed. All right, any other questions for the Synergy report? Thank you for being here too, Brian, tonight, and I did like the report. It was a good detailed report as well presented. All those in favor of the report? Against? Standing committee reports, which would all be done except the community development, those reps. Correspondence, number 9 is the NB Power response, so I did receive a letter back from the Vice President of NB Power, Nicole Poirier. As you all have read, it was in response to our original letter of the past storm that when we met. And I can say that some of the vegetation removal and cleaning up has been underway from the substation in LaPro down through LaPro Falls Road, now going down Route 790. Some of the other things, it was pretty vague, the letter. I mean, she did get back to us. We were hoping to meet, we're still hoping to meet. But so she wanted to get the letter out just for the response. But again, some of it was vague, but they are, I guess, I don't want to read through the whole letter, but some of it was not all of it was pertaining just to Fundy Shores. So it was kind of the wider area of Eastern Charlotte but again, vegetation has been started and hopefully we can get some more solid numbers from NB Power is what I was looking for, where their budget was before and where it's going to be now, of what they're looking at for the power grid here just in Fundy Shores, because as everybody is well aware, we seem to lose power a lot. So it's kind of now, even in the middle of a summer day, the wind started to blow, everybody's filling their tubs up, so it's not acceptable. And I mean, I just want to get from NB Power some confirmation of what they are going to do for Fundy Shores, so I will remain hopeful. So if anybody has any other questions on the letter,
I'm just curious about the smart meter rollout in Thunder Shores. Do you have any more information on that?
I don't, I know that some of them have been gone out. I don't know how widespread it is. So they've been out looking to install or have been installing in some of the area. I don't know.
Anybody that's having new work, I think, because
Right.
my neighbors are now have a smart meter. They're not doing anything with it per se yet. But they had to get an upgrade because they got solar. They put a smart meter in.
So it's up to you to ask for one if you want one.
I think they're rolling them out anyways.
Yeah, well, and that's my understanding is they're gonna be rolling them out anyway.
You want one or not?
And I think they were hoping, and back when I don't 100% quote me on it, back when I spoke with Ms. Poirier before in person, is they were kind of hoping that people would just call, or you know what I mean, get on board and want them.
Mhm.
And there might be a certain time frame for that, but then when that time frame's done, it's either like, okay, now we're at the final stage, everybody's getting one. So and again, I'm not trying to NB Power, there's gonna be negatives and positives to it. And all they focused on, of course, was the positive. So I only take it with a grain of salt until we have a bigger conversation about it, or, right, so. Yeah, but they did seem to think that was, and again, I don't want to get into too much of saying, but they seem to think that the smart meters, that it may even help with some of the power outages. They can wire them up quicker when they go out, or I'm not a tech person, so I don't know much about it, but that was what my understanding was, again, you know, it'll be a time to tell as we move forward. Wonderful, but I know they're pushing them, yeah, smart meters, and
I had a request in over 8 months ago and still haven't got one,
so,
so I did get a letter saying they were going to be ready.
and that's what I.
And we got one here at the office stating that they'd be in and replacing our meter, and my understanding from the letter, it was. First thing, it was just to kind of monitor to see when our peak hours were, but also. When power does go out, they're made aware faster because the smart meter is supposed to tell them. So if we're not here to call, the grid should already know.
I'm hearing good and bad about them, so it'd be interesting to see if we could get some more information.
And I think that was the other part of it, was that there was being big upgrades done to like La Pro substation and the one in Eastern Charlotte, so. Hopeful there, because I know the La Pro substation before, some of the major outages we've had were like transformers that were blown, that were hard to get and that sort of thing, so I'm hoping that with that. Being done, that we would have less outages, that's the hope.
So on the lighter side, we'll all be taking our showers at midnight.
So we don't use the
Uh-huh.
electricity.
Maybe some of it do now.
There's certain times you can do your laundry and.
You just charge differently at different times of the day.
Different rates. If you do it using, it's cheaper. During.
In different days, it might be different times too.
So we are hoping, or I'm hoping for a follow-up to this and a meeting, just to kind of get the numbers narrowed down more. But on part of it, again, they have started clearing the power lines. And just quickly on that is, just because we don't see them clearing the power line on the main grid, doesn't mean power lines aren't being cleared back. You know, New River Beach was a prime example of the past storm. Is there was many people working, but it was way in the woods to get to that line, so people were in there cleaning and clearing. But you know, you get upset because you don't actually see them doing it, so it is being done. Probably not the speed I'd like them to have it done. All right. Number 10, approval of payments, the general government, which. Is the attached report, which I didn't have, but that is for the truck payment.
No, that's for all payments. The truck payment is listed on that. And I didn't know if
Right.
council wanted to pull that truck payment out until a decision was made on the lease. And then issue the payment. The lease is to be discussed during closed session.
But we would need the motion right for now before closed session on the actual payment,
The other invoices.
right?
It's just up to council if they want to include that one payment or not. Because once the lease is approved, a motion can be made to make the payment too.
When is payment due?
Already.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, no,
Now,
I think it was like the 5th, because I got, I received the lease after I received the bill.
Right.
So,
So can we make a motion to approve pending the closed session? Can we move it out?
well, yes, if you want to take that payment out for right now, the total bills to be paid is $119,260.93. If you want to leave it in, it's the 190,000.
so it's up to council really, of the two.
I'm fine leaving it in and or coming back to that agenda item when we come out of closed session. I'm fine either way.
I would just, if it was up to me, I would just pull that payment out for
Yeah.
right now and just kind of put a pin in it until after the closed session discussion.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all good with us, we'll just leave it as is. And we'll come back.
Are you gonna pay the other bills?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm just making a note right now, just on
Go
that
ahead.
one, so I don't. So the sewage commission,
No.
approval of payments,
Are you going to pay the 119,000?
all right up here, good thing, geez, good thing you're here. Right, so I need a motion to pay the $119,260.93.
Give you the motion.
Is-
Second it,
Oh, sorry, no, go,
wanna go now or?
No, I'll wait a second.
Second it. Counselor Deal. Questions on the motion?
I have one question on it, but. There's a check to Synergy. I'm not really picking on Synergy tonight.
Now's a good time, though, Brian's here.
For 6,000 on that, but on the income, income statement, it shows as 8,000.
that was last month's, when I did that
Okay.
report. The payments hadn't been cut yet, they didn't get cut till today, so they wouldn't have shown up as an expense until the check's cut.
Yeah, but,
That's what the payments were last month, the first 2 months were 8,000 and the rest of them are 6.
oh, okay, I understand. now.
Okay.
Thank you.
No worries.
All right. Any further questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Approved. Sewage Commission, Thompson subdivision. Looking for a motion to pay for $368 to the accountant for bookkeeping for January.
I'll make a motion to pay.
Councillor Gilly made the motion, seconded by Councillor Sonnier. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, motion's passed, and again, just a reminder, that these payments are recouped to us after the establishment of the commission. 11, approval of accounts for February 29th, 2024.
Nothing.
Okay. Revenue expense report that was attached or is attached, looking for a motion on that.
I'll approve that.
Councillor Sonnier made the motion, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Questions on the motion? No questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? New business. Well, correspondence, I guess, new business. We did receive again this year from Lyme, New Brunswick for the 2024 awareness campaign. They've attached a proclamation if council so chooses. This would be the same as last year for the month of May to proclaim as Lyme awareness. So we would look for a motion and, yeah, I guess the motion from council. Motion by Councillor Deputy Mayor Ferguson, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Questions on the motion?
Did we, other than posting it and making it aware, we didn't do anything last year?
We didn't, so
Green
what,
lights, we didn't-
right,
There's no lights on the exterior of a building that we can change.
Okay.
and that was the reason I think we just went with the proclamation is they do ask if you can, the green lights of some sort somewhere, I mean, but we don't have.
Could we go with the spotlight, a solar spotlight or something? Could do that.
Well, and again, since we are on live, just if anybody did want to, because you can get them,
Yeah.
change their outside light from the clear light to a green light for the month of May. Or put some green around your house, or, that would be, well. So did council want me to do the proclamation now, or is it
It was
something?
moved and seconded, but it hasn't been voted on yet.
Right, your staff in question.
Right, and that's, yeah, so,
You need to, yeah.
so that's, yeah, it's still on the question.
Yeah, so we can't do anything out here outside lighting.
Right.
But to Lorraine's point, we can at our individual homes if we want.
Yep.
Okay.
And if you want to change your light bulb to a green light bulb, or add green lights outside.
Green light bulb. Change everything.
I think it encourages the conversation around it.
Well, and that's it, yeah,
Yeah.
same as any other thing, right? It's just for, so I guess, so still on the question, does council want to make the proclamation tonight for May and have it done with, or wait till the next meeting and, okay? So,
He didn't hear it.
yeah, I do it, because I'm ready to read the proclamation. So I will read it, because we did it the last time. So Lyme Awareness Month of May 2024. Whereas Lyme disease is one of the fastest growing vector-borne illnesses in the world, And whereas the population of ticks, the primary vector for the transmission of Lyme disease in New Brunswick and other parts of Canada is growing and expanding in New Brunswick. And whereas the number of New Brunswickers suffering from Lyme disease is increasing from one year to the next. And whereas awareness plays a key role in making this disease known to the public, as well as the steps to take to prevent contacting the disease. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor of the Rural Community of Fundy Shores, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as Lyme Awareness Month in Fundy Shores, New Brunswick. And we will get a letter, like I think we did last year, the letter, and stamp it with our. All right. And that is property tax announcement.
That one was for me to discuss because there was a lot of questions circulating. As everybody knows, Fundy Shores property tax rate was 28 cents. And there was discussion before the provincial budget, or the provincial portion of taxes was distributed. I did ask the question if policing was going to be distributed equally across the board like it was in the previous year. And then the announcement came out with showing different tax rates, 28 cents for the former parish of Pro and 14 cents for the former parish of Musquash. So two different tax rates were attributed to the area, which wasn't what was anticipated at all. Now I did send, and I'll flip over to my email here, I did send a question up the ladder, so to speak. And it basically says that going into 2023 with all the local governance changes, that's how it was applied. This year, Department of Public Safety didn't apply the tax rate that way. If council wishes, council can draft a bylaw, a policing bylaw, and take over that policing contract under the umbrella contract that the province has. And then the municipality or the local government would be charged the cost of policing directly and then divided across the community how they see fit. But that's more for informational purposes, but I just did want to make you aware that that conversation has happened. Like what do we do to fix it? And at this point, we can't really fix what was done, so.
So we-
Because it wasn't done by us.
So we can't fix it for this tax, unfortunately, because it wasn't applied the same way as it was last year,
Right.
but we can do.
Next year, if council wishes to adopt a policing bylaw, then council would receive the bill. And it would be distributed through the tax rates that way.
So that gives us time to look at pros and cons, is that right?
Yes.
And or dealing with it at the provincial level on it.
Yeah.
And it's same as our other contracts, right? Is we want to make sure that we're getting the best value for the money that we're paying. And we have to hold them accountable that whatever we're paying out of that or whatever it's going to be as the end result, that we're gonna be getting something more than what we're getting right now. That would be mine.
Yeah, I would agree. So again, it gives us time over the
Yep.
next. To do it.
There's nothing else on that. but-
No, I just wanted to advise that the conversation has happened and.
All right, 12C, Safety Week and Voyant Alert Launch.
Meeting.
Yeah, well, I have it here too.
Okay, so council was aware, and I'm sure some people in the public are aware as well, that we had purchased the Voyant Alert app, and we're just moving now into the being able to launch it phase. So, I decided to do a safety week at the end of March, and have reached out to our partners in the community, and on March, and all the events will be taking place here, and starting tomorrow, they're gonna start popping up on our social media feeds. And I've got them all scheduled for the reminders and everything all month long. Musquash Fire on the 25th will be presenting like kitchen safety. The 26th, the RCMP is coming and we'll do an online digital safety for the public. This is all for the public. NBEMO, Rhonda Hoolan, who is our regional person, will be doing the 72-hour preparedness, and then on the 28th, I plan on doing just a short presentation on the app and on the alert mechanism, and then allow people, if they can't do it themselves, that they can register. I'll help them register here. and move through that process, and it'll also be linked to our, at the end of the month, not today. Will be linked to our website and to our social media platform, so say an alert does go out. And it doesn't have to be emergency alerting either, they can be generalized alerts, if council has meetings or public events going on, but say garbage removal was delayed or really anything, but then there is, of course, the emergency stuff too, so. And people can sign up for what alerts they actually want to get. If they only want to get emergency alerts, then that's all they get, but if they want everything, they can get that too.
And just to clarify, the alerts are coming out from this office or the police or fire
The
or EMO.
the Voyant ones will be coming directly from us. But it could be in relation to any of those items, I mean. NB Power for the point still has their own system, the province still has their own system, so. Anything that's under the Fundy Shores umbrella would come out through our app.
Any other questions?
That's busy.
Yes, it is.
Anything else? Community Day. Councilor Dealey.
Okay, so Community Day this year will be consisting of 2 days in August. And has got most of the quotes in for what we did last year, what we had planned last year before the hurricane decided to come. And there are some differences in pricing, of course, and some of them are giving me budget prices, so. We're looking at a budget for the 2-day event of approximately $18,000. And maybe at this time, I'd probably like to ask permission to set that aside. And also, there is a community investment fund grant that is available. From what I gathered from information, it's closing March 15th. And so I'd like to ask permission, council permission to apply for the grant. For the community events, because it's a 2-day event. It says that with expenses between 12 and 20,000, that the level of assistance would be $3,000.
So maybe instead of 18,000, you only 15,000 on the budget.
Exactly, that's,
And last year it was 12, right?
it was 12, yeah. So some things have gone up, we've purchased some stuff, we have some stuff left over, planning to use, I have a meeting coming up on the 13th. To,
Same plan.
similar.
So your
what do you-
pricing was, no, that's okay, was your pricing, so was that, you said budgeting pricing, so.
I'm getting some budget prices instead of firm pricing.
Right, and that's what
Because
I'm
it's
wondering, so
August.
it could, yeah, so it could change, fluctuate a little more.
That's
or
what
a
I'm
little
thinking.
less. Okay.
And what were the dates in August?
Those are going to be, that's the second weekend in August. It's gonna coincide with the annual, newly formed Funding Shores yard sale,
So the 10th and
the
the
10th
11th,
and the 11th.
So is that one of the days, just the yard sale, or are we having
There-
events during the yard sale as well?
Yard sale during on the day on Saturday, perhaps something on Saturday evening, perhaps. It's up to the committee. We have to have our meeting. And then Sunday, the events pretty similar, and we have to discuss the where and when,
You're having it on Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday? No.
So when's your next rec committee?
The 13th. Next week,
Next week.
Wednesday.
What is the rec, there'd be enough of a negative rec budget, though.
there was money set aside in the recreation budget for events. There was about $24,000 set aside, and some of that was for events for the new staffing to provide, but given that this takes months to plan. Councillor Daly and I spoke, and she, for good reason, felt it was a good time to start early.
With
there
that
is
being
money
said,
there.
I'm very frugal with somebody else's money, including my own, so I'm going to be trying to save as much as possible.
Yes, the 24,000 was for several programs, so, or several events.
So you're gonna go ahead with the grant, that's, everybody was good with that,
Have to ask permission.
yeah, so that's, everybody's good, there's consensus, I think on that.
So you're gonna put in for the 2 days
Yes,
when you submit for the grant.
yes.
Does that put us out of hurricane season this year?
No,
Right in the middle of it.
It's better than.
But we could,
Yeah,
we could
it is
rain dates. Would rain dates be something to consider? And, well, I suppose because people will be booked up, some of the things that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like last year, and then there's nowhere to have it inside, and we have run into that same evaluation, and so, yeah. We're just gonna hope for sunny weather, both days.
So did we check the calendars all around? There's no other events that weekend.
Well, it's not the firehouse weekend, cause that was a different weekend.
What's what weekend? What'd you say?
I said it's not the firehouse weekend.
Yeah.
So what I could do is we could make a small poster just to mark your calendar for that weekend and start putting it out on on social media this week.
Sure.
Kind of claim though.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna lock those dates in, you might as well.
That's
That way they
I'll-
get
I'll
it
try to send you
earlier is better
something.
than later.
Have you thought, I guess, well, we can talk after.
So, okay, so that was, you're gonna apply for the grant, or anything else is, nothing else that you haven't, that's all to be. Okay. So we're good? So I will need a motion to move into closed session.
Okay.
So Deputy Mayor Ferguson, seconded by Councillor Deely, we will be closing now, going into closed session.
Let me turn off everything.